hello.
Hello.
Hello, Lotfi, and hello, Alex.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. First of all, we apologize. It's very
Not
late.
we, he.
I apologize. She doesn't. So, welcome to Late Nights with Lotfi and Alex. We're gonna be talking about some open source Apache tools today. But before we go into that, Lotfi, who are you? What do you do? And where do you join us from?
So I'm a solutions architect, part of the public sector teams, and based out of Dublin. So that's from where I'm joining you. Indeed.
Okay. So Lotfi, what is the best service at AWS?
The best service at AWS.
No, not the best service at AWS.
EMR EKS.
Wait, okay. But I'm gonna have you dial that back and instead ask, what AWS service would you take with you on a desert island?
Athena.
Athena.
Why?
Yeah.
No, that was Aurora. Okay. Why Athena?
Why Athena? So it's kind of in the middle. It's that service that can allow you to do ETL and at the same time do ad hoc queries.
Okay.
Which is important on a desert island.
Absolutely. And like, I'm not sure if Athena should be offended now because you called it. It's just in the middle somehow. It's like not important. Thank you, Lotfi. Alex, introduce yourself. Where do you join us from? What do you do? And all that fun stuff.
One thing. Don't give him the same question as myself, please.
Okay. No, we won't. Go.
Okay, so I'm Alex. I'm the solutions architect as well. I work with startups, and I'm joining from London.
Woo, startup team.
Pretty much midnight.
Hey.
Yeah, pretty much midnight here. Midnight chat.
Yeah, okay, I thought you were from Germany, so good. It's at least 1 hour ahead, so that's good. So Alex, what's the worst database service?
What's the worst database service? So you want to get me fired, or what is like the question on AWS?
What is the service? Let's not call it the worst one. What is the service you would push?
He's a saboteur.
What was the service you would push off a boat in front of a
What's
desert
up with our
island?
nautical theme? I don't know.
You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. I'll answer it for you.
Do the desert island one. It's a safe bet.
It's Chime. So let's move on. We're going to talk.
Chime. Chime has some good features.
Yes. So let's talk about closing the multi-cloud gap with open source solutions, and like my access to AWS is revoked immediately. So let's kick it off today. Lotfi or Alex, whoever wants to answer this, what are we talking about today? What are these open source solutions to close the multi-cloud gap?
Yeah.
So I can take a stab on it. So basically, the thing is like there is a lot of different type of customers. Some of them are kind of having the data across the multiple cloud providers. Some of them just trying to migrate from one cloud provider to another, like from an on-premise environment to cloud provider. Some of them just have a lot of different various data sources to do, like to parse and somehow store the data so that they can analyze it later. And doing it kind of yourself without any help of tools that are available, or trying to build some kind of framework yourself from scratch can be a very complicated task. So that's why we're thinking that some of the open source tools can eventually help you a lot to speed up your development process, make it easier, faster, and probably more enjoyable as well to get the job done.
Okay, and what are these tools we're going to be talking about today? I mentioned them, NiFi and Hop. What is NiFi and what is Hop?
Lotfi, you want to try the NiFi one?
So NiFi is that tool that just allows you to move data from point A to point B, or from source A to source B, without actually having to do extensive data transformation on it. And it's the tool that has so many connectors around that are already available, so that you can deploy it without actually do the heavy coding behind the scene. So that's Apache NiFi. I just call it the data mover from one source to the other.
Data plumber, if you will.
Data plumber.
If you want.
Yeah.
So when you say data mover, do you say like it can move data from like an S3 bucket to a database, or is it just actual physical block object storage? What are we talking about?
Almost any kind of data source, not even like a database or data storage. So if you have an HTTP endpoint, you can pull data from that endpoint through Apache NiFi, for example. You provide an access key and the secret key, and then we can pull the data from that endpoint at a given intervals. And that's, for example, something that would allow you not to get blacklisted by your data provider. You don't get throttled. You don't get throttled. You would manage like back pressures easily, and so on and so forth. So that's Apache NiFi.
So before we get into Apache Hop, Alex, we'll let you. I'm gonna let you speak. But Lotfi, can you show us Apache NiFi? Do you have something to demo us here? Is that a possibility while we talk a bit more about it?
Yeah, definitely. Let me share my screen.
Share your screen.
Yes.
By the way, the term "let me share my screen" is the thing I've said the most in the last 2 years. I don't think I said "I love you" to my wife more than I said "let me share my screen." Like, it's insane.
You are in trouble, I think.
We all are. We all have said that thing more than we do. So it's, yeah.
Possible.
Possible. So Lotfi is going to show us how NiFi works. And then after that, Alex can pop right in and just show us well, first of all, tell us what Hop is, and then show us what Hop is.
Agreed.
I seem to have lost my pen.
So for that, we have a technical issue for which I have to.
Do we? So you cannot share your screen? Is that
I can. It's just the privacy stuff with the Mac, which is so awesome that I need to allow Chrome.
Okay. So you know what? You do that, Lotfi. You do that. Refresh
and
Chrome.
Come back.
While you're doing that, we're going to ask Alex about Hop. Alex.
We are.
Yes.
You are on the stage.
So Apache Hop, it's about bunny rabbits learning to hop places. What is it?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. So
Totally not?
No, that's very much accurate description, I would say. So, but instead of rabbits, there's basically these small bits of data that dump in.
Brilliant.
Between
Makes
those,
so much
like
more sense.
hopping between
data.
different parts of the pipeline. I think that's actually very accurate.
Network hop, but instead data hops.
So when
Exactly.
we say, and we have Lotfi back. See, that's what's fast. When we say data hops. When we say data hopping over, does it something similar to NiFi? Is it also like data migration and data moving, or what?
That's correct. I think that they're most like both NiFi and Hop. They are similar in a way that the data is moving from one kind of component of your pipeline to another. So that in this case, this is like literally data flow. They're built on this kind of data flow paradigm that is known for quite a while. And being the low-code solutions, both of them are kind of using this approach. Beautiful. Which is So, but now probably back to Lotfi with the NiFi.
Yeah, but we love low-code solutions. We love basically being able not to be we talked about this in the beginning. You don't have to be an expert in Java to move data across the things or utilize some data tools. So this is wonderful.
It's an important theme.
Yeah. Lotfi, are we having any success with the data share? With the data share.
Let me share the screen again, and it should be.
While Lotfi is sharing his screen, chat. What do you do? What do you use to transfer data, to share?
Yeah, how do you move your data?
How do you hop your data across different sources? Is there
lots of ways to hop?
Yeah. What is the tool you're using? We want to hear that. I definitely would love to hear what other options exist besides NiFi and Hop. Lotfi, is Mac giving you problems again, or?
It should be all right this time.
Okay, goody. If you're connected on VPN, that could be a problem, but we'll see to make it work because I'm still on the lookout for your screen coming up here.
Just have to disconnect and reconnect again. Sorry for that.
There we go. Okay, So Alex, can you start with us? Maybe we can approach it this way. Alex, you share your screen with us
Yeah,
and show
I
us
can- I
Apache
can-
Hop.
Yeah, exactly. I can probably give it a go then first. Sure. Let me try if I'm able to share my screen. So
Let's see
share
that.
screen.
Let's see that. If nothing, I'll share my screen. I have nothing to show you, but, but
It says
I
that
see
I'm
something coming
sharing.
up.
So let me
I'm
know if.
I'm gonna pop it up here. Perfect. Can you, Alex?
Fantastic.
There it is.
Can you zoom in a bit
Yeah,
and tell
I'll
us what you are
try
going to
my
be showing
best.
us?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
So
we
what
got
I'm
some
going.
customer data. We got some state data.
Exactly. So that's actually the one of the examples that comes with the Apache Hop, and that's the UI that you will have when you install. So when I install it on my laptop machine. So basically, like that's the typical like pipeline that you might have. So it has a few inputs. In this case, there are two. Like one is the customer data file, the other one is a state data file, and then you do some sort of transformations, which are the built-in components within the Apache Hop, and then you just connect them with the hops apparently. So and then the data is moving from one kind of hop to another, right? So here we can see that we're joining these two kind of data sets originally. We're also doing some sort of calculations, so like what says count per state, and then we kind of adding that back to the main pipeline. Then we're doing some filtering based on the name, then based on the state, which is like some part of the one of the fields
see.
from
Yeah,
those
so
spots.
you're labeling with the states from A
Exactly.
through M, N to Z. Then you have them all kind of ordered, switching case, formatting,
So,
that kind of thing. Okay.
Exactly. So like you see the hop the very first time, and you already kind of, by looking at this visual pipeline, you kind of already can guess what it does, right? And in the end, we just literally running the outputting it to the to the file in this case. However, like the good and probably in some way unique bit about the hop is the fact that it can run this data pipeline not within its own built-in engine, which is quite typical for all this kind of low-code solution. It can export that data pipeline and run it on the Apache Beam, which is another open source. The kind of open source framework.
Beam. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the Beam in turn can use either Spark, Apache Spark, or Apache Flink to run those pipelines. So what it means that you are no longer constrained within this kind of like a built-in execution engine of this visual low-code ETL tool, but you can export that data pipeline and run it on the managed service within AWS or some other places like EMR, because for EMR we do have Spark and we do have Flink, right? And that's eventually what I'm going to show you now. So first I'm going to show you what needs to be done really quickly to export that data and prepare it for execution for that pipeline. And then we can then just, and then I can just switch to this EMR serverless. So I'm also aware that like Damon, about EMR serverless. I'm also a big fan of it. And we can run this visual hop pipeline on Spark engine without writing or knowing any bit of a Spark like API as a framework, or Python or Java in this case. We just exported it and run it. So like to do that, you generate the hop FAT jar, what is called. So what that FAT jar is like a term when like within the kind of like Java ecosystem, when you take all those components that you have within your pipeline and create one single big jar file, which eventually kind of like has all those Java libraries behind the scenes that have been used like as a one big file. So I've already
Alex,
done this.
Before we continue, I have one question and one observation. a question is, does this do any sort of transformation? My understanding is that it does some transformation of data here. It's not just purely moving the data, it's also modifying,
Yes,
merging.
A little ag there too with the count per state, right?
That's the ETL tool, right? Like in a nutshell, right? So that's
Okay.
it does the extraction, transforming, and load, like purely. So so there are the transformations here is like the grouping, right? Then there is join as well, and
I see.
there is
Okay.
also some filtering, and then you eventually
Does it have any like aggregation capabilities or anything like that?
Yeah, you can do the aggregation. It's not listed in this kind of specific pipeline, or rather, like this. Like let me click. So this kind of count is eventually the aggregation because you grouping it by the state code, and then you count the number of values per
Makes total sense.
state.
Yep.
So
that's why I kind of was curious about the ag part.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, so there are plenty of kind of ready-made kind of transformations that are available as a part of it. So, like, what you think, what you need to do, you need to generate the Hop fat jar, which is basically the, like, as I said, the library. There is also, you need to export the metadata, like you would need to click it once again, and then also store it somewhere. I already done it. I called it like beam12, JSON. And that's basically the configuration for this Hop environment. So we know what like variables are being used within this pipeline and everything. And finally, we would need to take the transformation file itself, which is like have its own format, HPL, like which means Hop pipeline, and we also need to copy it somewhere so where Spark can find it. So for that, I put everything onto the S3 bucket. So like I'm switching to S3 bucket. So that's JSON file. That's the fat jar file. And that's the complex.hpl, which is basically the Hop pipeline, that visual pipeline that we will see. So now I'm switching to the Emr Studio. So I won't be creating, because I already pre-created the kind of environment just because, we're constrained quite a bit with the demo. So, and then, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clone the job. And basically, it's very simple. So apart from that, choosing the role, you specifying the path to the fat jar, you specifying the main class, which always will be this static or Apache Hop beam run. And then you're specifying the parameters, right? And the first parameter is always the actual file, the transformation file, right? The HPL. Then this is this JSON configuration file, so it knows what to use. And finally, that would be the engine, or rather the pipeline configuration, which is kind of like exported within this JSON file. So in this case, we're just saying, just run it on the Apache Spark. And then you just click submit job, and like, with a bit of a luck. So now we have a schedule. We now have it running, and maybe like in a couple of minutes, according to my tests, the data will be there. So that's pretty much it when it comes to Apache Hop that I wanted to show in terms of the demo. I just wanted to show like how easy it is to create the pipeline visually, like using the built-in components, and then you can eventually run them on the managed Apache Spark and Flink environments, like whatever have you, like AMR or EMR Spark and everything.
Makes perfect sense, and it's great. Like a lot of the tools we've seen today just literally run on EMR. So that's just
exactly because those frameworks are very popular. That's why.
EMR serverless doesn't support this, right? So it needs to run on an actual EMR cluster, or can this run on EMR serverless as well?
This one, the Spark, is running on EMR serverless. So this is what I'm using it. But if you want to run a Flink, you can do that. And I don't think I have time to show it, but you can definitely run it on the typical standard EMR cluster. And this is like how, for example, you can show you.
Amazing.
This is how you can see that run it on the Flink.
Thank you, Alex, so much. Now, I mean, that's good. It's a lovely visual tool we can create and move and do some transformation to data. Now, Lotfi, are you going to show us NiFi? Finally.
Yes.
I'm going to bring
working.
up the screen.
Finally, I can share my screen. This time it's Firefox who collaborated with me on this one. So.
Okay, perfect. Can you just zoom in slightly into this if that's possible? Just command plus it if that would work. I'm not sure, but
Better? Better?
Yeah, perfect.
better, better, better. Go for it. Tell us what you're going to show us and show us.
All right, so what I have done is deployed Apache NiFi on a single instance. Usually you wouldn't deploy it on a single instance, you would run it in cluster mode,
Right.
meaning you will have multiple EC2 instances that are running in parallel. And then you'll have to add to that Apache Zookeeper. I haven't done it with the Zookeeper that is already in EMR, but you can run Zookeeper on top of, for example,
So talk us through that, though,
Fargate.
Lofty. Like, why do you need a consensus algo with this tool, with NiFi? What's, you know, because the way I think of Zookeeper, right, is I think of kind of like a
what happens
Supreme
is,
Court.
so when you run, so at that time, when you want to run, when we run Apache NiFi in a cluster mode, what happens is there is the chunks of files or the chunks of, I'm not going to call them transformation or data movement. And those
A little
sent
choppy, Lofty.
Can you repeat what you said last?
Yeah, we lost
just
it.
Disconnected for a second.
Oh, sorry for that. So I was saying, when you run Apache NiFi in a cluster mode on top of EC2,
Okay.
you're
There we go.
all right. So what Apache NiFi is going to do is going to split the data or split the data transformation into smaller files. Those are called the flow files. And those flow files are going to be processed by each one of those smaller EC2 instances that are part of the cluster. And that's where we need the consensus to happen between Zookeeper that would tell each one of the EC2 instances that is going to run those transformation or those data movement. And you need to have fault tolerance and whatnot there. And Zookeeper is what allows you to run that type of consensus on top of that.
So we're getting a quorum from
clear?
that, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So at least you need at least 3 there. So that's the general infrastructure of Apache NiFi. Now, if we zoom in a little bit, Apache NiFi can have a group of transformation, and that's what I have here. So I have a group of transformation here that I called to S3. And what I am doing here is I am consuming data from an HTTP endpoint, and I am also doing some light transformation on top of that and storing it into S3. Now, the data comes to me as a JSON file, JSON array, and I take that JSON array, I split it into single elements, and then I transform them into CSV format that I compact into chunks, and then I store them into S3. Now, this is how it looks like. So first is I have the processor. So Apache NiFi has something called processor, and the processor is an operation. And here, for example, it's going to be invoke HTTP, which is just a get method that I am calling into an API that is for open data on bike sharing in Dublin. Okay. And I give it, for example, my secret key and my API keys there, and I can consume from it. Now, the nice part here is the scheduling. So I'm scheduling it for every 5 minutes. I can pull the data. This is because I'm using like a free resource, and I don't want to bombard the service with continuous like HTTP requests. And this is where I would call the beauty of, or how powerful Apache NiFi can be. It's these type of configuration that you can apply. All right. So once I get
a question for you regarding HTTP requests. Can it handle errors? Right, if it gets a 404 or 50 something, can it actually understand that and not dump that into an S3 bucket?
Yes. So that's what you have here: failure, no retry, and this is how you act on failures. So, for example, if I have a 200, if I have a 400, what to do?
Yeah. Beautiful. Continue, please.
So if I have a 400, it's a no retry. So I'm not gonna retry it. Okay, so what I do once I get the file, because I want to keep the raw data, in my example, there's really no need to keep the raw data because it's going to be the same as in the CSV file that I want to input. But just for the sake of the example, I put it into an S3 bucket. What you also have here is a queuing mechanism. Meaning if your destination is having some sort of issues, you can queue data here.
Okay.
Once you recover from some sort of errors, you can start consuming again from the queue that is storing the data for you. Here, why I am queuing, it's because this processor here that is called put S3 object only consume the data every 1 minute, if I recall well, or every 5 minutes. What did I do here? Yeah.
And how configurable is that?
And that's why I am queuing data. It's a cron job.
Okay.
Really, just run your schedule there.
Cool.
Okay. So in the put to S3 data, what I have here is really powerful. I would present, because I need to write data to S3, I need an IAM role. And in that IAM role, well, if there are multiple ways to get access to S3. Either you have like long-lived credential. That's really the last resort you want to use with AWS. If you can avoid like a secret key and access key, just use an IAM role or like an instance profile to actually interact with AWS. And this is what I am doing with the AWS credential here. So I am configuring the Apache NiFi processor to use AWS credential provider, and this credential provider is going to assume a role that I have already provided in the instance. So I'm using an instance role. I'm not using the long-lived credential.
Good. Smart.
Yeah, we like to see that.
Yeah.
This is really like what I really like about this. Now, what we just announced yesterday is IAM Anywhere, which allows you to run for your local clusters, like local Apache NiFi that are running on-premise or in other cloud providers. You can allow them to assume roles and use short-lived credentials with IAM Anywhere. I haven't tested it. It was just out of the oven yesterday. I'll have to test it to see how Apache NiFi react to that, and how, or if there is anything that needs to happen, that needs to change to Apache NiFi.
But that's a good feature, right? That's really good, right? So now,
I love it.
I want to kind of slowly lead you towards the end. NiFi takes this very low-code approach where it can get data from one part, can move it to some other part. Does it do some transformation? Can NiFi do some transformation?
What I always tell to people: don't try to do something that is closer to relational database with complex joins, or do some complex event processing like Apache Flink, for example. This is just really simple transformation. You do a lookup, you explode a file, and whatnot. That's what you would do.
And why would
this is my data written into an S3 bucket.
Okay. Before
why
you
would
wrap
you,
it up, why would I, as a developer, use NiFi and not something else?
It's just if you want to have like high velocity and you want to quickly have a POC, or like want to stand up an MVP and show an idea, you can build on top of Apache NiFi. Apache NiFi can also take you into production because it's been there for 15 years and there is commercial support. Just for the anecdote, I have used Apache NiFi to get data from a bike sharing application, which is open source, which is like an open data initiative, and I wanted to predict the bikes that are next to my place when they will be always in capacity, so that I can go out just in time in the morning. And that's how I'm using Apache NiFi. Instead of writing something on Fargate or Lambdas, I just have this super powerful tool that gives me the data readily available.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you, Lotfi, and thank you, Alex. Before we leave, what is the best way to run both NiFi and Lotfi? Oh my God.
We got a new service.
Lotfi as a service. Lotfi as a service.
How do you run NiFi and Hop on AWS or close to AWS? What's the best and easiest way to approach this?
Yeah, like for Hop, I would say you can run and kind of test and debug locally. That's one of the kind of main benefits of these visual tools, right? Yep. And then when it comes to production, I would suggest to use one of the managed servers that Hop is supporting, like through this Beam and Spark and Flink integration. So it could be either the EMR serverless if you're looking for Spark, or standard EMR if you're looking for Flink for some reason. Just make sure that you select the right version of the EMR that matches the Flink version or Spark version, so it runs smoothly, and that would be, yeah.
Makes sense.
Good. And Lotfi, what about NiFi?
So for NiFi, for me, again, it's just like the data movement tool. For me, just it allows you to move data easily and acquire data easily. You have connectors that are readily available. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's already there for you. You can use it, and it's proven. For the anecdote, I have seen Apache NiFi being run on top of Lambdas in some sort of experiment.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in production, but some people in I can't remember their names, which company they were working for, but they were trying it on top of Lambdas because Apache NiFi can run on top of as a headless mode instead of a UI.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty
Cloudera, right? Yeah,
awesome.
they were trying it.
Yeah, Cloudera.
Awesome. Alex, Lotfi, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, there's a link to the survey. Please do let us know what you think about this session. Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed hearing about Hop and NiFi and all the fun open source stuff? We're going to be right back with some other guests here to kind of slowly wrap up this day. So please stay tuned. Alex, Lotfi, thank you so much for staying so long, so late tonight, and happy Friday to both of you.
Happy Friday.
What can I say?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll be seeing you in a minute.
Thank you.
Hey there! Thanks for checking out this video. Remember to give it a like and share with your community. Then hit subscribe and the bell for all the latest content that will help you build on AWS.